Hi everyone, it's Andrea. I'm trying a little bit of a different spot in the house, so I hope the glare from the light is not too great. Um, but I just wanted to try something a little different today. Um, I've been doing a lot of research into chakras and frequencies. I'm not quite there to release all of it, but today I wanted to talk about the frequency of oils. And my reference today is from this fantastic book called Healing Oils of the Bible by David Stewart, who's a PhD. David recently passed away, and what a legacy he has left. I have read this book maybe 3 or 4 times since I started my journey with Young Living, and I go back to it time and time again. There are segments in it that I have read over and over. His understanding of the blood-brain barrier, the little few pages that he does on the chemistry of oils, the phenols and phenylpropanoids, the monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes, really helped me understand what oils are doing at a molecular level. So, and I guess gave me great encouragement that there was scientific backing for what we knew intuitively was happening when we were using oils. But today I just want to talk to you briefly about electromagnetic frequency. Now it sounds really woo-woo and out there, and yet the way that David Stewart describes it in his book really helped me realise that frequencies exist around us all the time. When I'm speaking to you right now, I'm creating sound frequencies which are reverberating, and you're picking them up by your ear, and your brain is then making sense of the words that I'm saying, and it's all happening at a level of frequencies. And even our Creator spoke, and the world was created. Now, whether you believe that's literal or not, the fact of the matter is it's recorded that it was his word that created. And so frequencies do exist. They are not something out there in New Age. And they're actually part of the dimension of how essential oils work to support us and keep us above the wellness line. All essential oils, so I'm going to read a little bit, and all essential oils carry electrical charges, usually electrons or negative ions, which are healing and healthful. They are also energetic, creating nanovolts of electricity. A nanovolt is a billionth of a volt. Okay, so we're not talking about getting zapped here. At megahertz frequencies. So that's in the radio frequency range, or millions of cycles per second. So because essential oils are a living organism, as long as they haven't been adulterated by something that man has made, then they carry that frequency and that energy. So these frequencies are now actually measurable with properly designed instrumentation. And a guy called Bruce Taino of Taino Technology in Washington developed sensitive frequency meters to measure such energies. He conducted a whole lot of experiments, and they're listed in the reference guide to essential oils that's published by Abundant Health that I talked about earlier in the week. So the frequencies that actually were measured by Bruce were between 52 to 320 megahertz, and 320 megahertz is actually the highest of all frequencies known to man in all substances, and that's actually rose oil, which is why it's our most expensive oil in the Young Living range, because pure unadulterated rose oil, and I mean 100% seed to seal guaranteed pure oil, is incredibly expensive to make. It takes a lot of rose petals to do it, and it's the process of extracting that oil is not something that can be done overnight, unless you're using man-made chemicals to extract, and then of course they're cheaper. So that's why a 5 ml bottle of Young Living rose oil is the most expensive oil we have. Lower frequency oils shouldn't be discounted though. You know, we tend to think, oh, well, we just need the higher frequencies. But listen to this. Lower frequency oils resonate with the body systems that have those frequencies. So things like bones and joints, and thus they administer healing vibrations to those systems. When several oils are blended together, a fundamental frequency will emerge that may be higher or lower than many of the components. And that's why Gary's blends have been so powerful in so many ways. Now, if you want to compare, people say, well, I don't need to use an essential oil, I can just use herbs. Well, of course you can, but herbs are usually dried, and their frequency measurements are somewhere between 20 and 27 megahertz. Fresh produce, 5 to 10 megahertz. And wait for it, people, processed or canned food measures 0 frequencies. 0. So in other words, there's no life or life force in things that have been processed to death so that they can have a longer shelf life and therefore make more money for the manufacturers. So those products contain chemical nutrition, but not the vital electronic nutrition that I'm talking about here when I talk about frequencies. So measurements on the human body have found that a healthy person has a frequency of around 62 to 68 megahertz. And when a person's frequency dips to 58, cold symptoms can manifest. Flu symptoms start at 57 megahertz, candida at 55 megahertz, Epstein-Barr syndrome at 52 megahertz, and the big C word when the body falls below 42 megahertz. So the process of dying begins at 25 megahertz and goes down to 0 at death. So so if I just give you a couple of oils, you can do your own research. But rose, I said, 320, helichrysum, 181 megahertz, lavender, 118 megahertz, blue tansy, which I just put in the soap that I made for my husband, 105 megahertz, and so it goes on. And I guess one of the most important healing modalities of the oils is that they can lift our body frequencies to levels where we are living above the wellness line. Now, Bruce Taino also found that the frequencies of oils are affected by thoughts, and he did some interesting research. I'll let you read that yourself on what happens when we hold to our frequency when we hold a cup of coffee. Just hold it, not even drink it, and how long it takes for that to restore back to normal. And also he did some research, and this is what's led me to put it into this unit on mental health and negative thoughts lowered the frequency of the oils by 12 megahertz, while positive thoughts raised them by 10 megahertz. And for those of you who have a faith, prayer made an even greater difference, raising the frequency levels by 15 megahertz. And it's very interesting that all the mentions of working with essential oils in the Bible are a combination of not just the oil. We don't worship the created, we worship the creator. And the creator has given us patterns in the Bible of using those oils with prayer. And isn't it interesting that that combination is incredibly powerful? And science is actually backing that now that we have the capacity to measure. So just wanted to bless you today and encourage you on your journey as you explore more and more the health benefits, the mental health benefits, as well as the physical health benefits of using oils to stay above the wellness line. Bless you. Bye.